Hello guys, welcome back to another video, and in today's video we're going through my round 17 AFL tips and predictions. So if you are going to enjoy today's video, please do like and subscribe. Let's get into last week's games first. We started off last week on Friday night. We had the Lions taking on the D's at the Gabba. Went with the Lions by 7 goals. They actually only won by 5. Melbourne, they were pretty good considering with their form, and they had to fly up to the Gabba, but they put up a real good fight. Yeah, that was a bit controversial, that free kick, but I think it was there probably, which gave Hugh McCluggage the winning goal with, I think, 1:10 left. Really good game to watch. Brisbane, they probably should have played a bit better than they did, but they got the job done in the end, which all that matters. And then on the Saturday, I went with the Dogs by 24. They actually won by 17, sort of what I was expecting. North, this was a bit of a... I wasn't really watching this game. I was watching the Freo Sydney game. Probably a boring game to watch, to be honest with you. The Bulldogs, they probably could have played a bit better, but yeah, there's not too much worries. Not that convincing, but we do have to remember North. They're actually playing some decent footy. So yeah, respectable performance from North and pretty low-scoring game. Then I went with the Swans by 26. Freo actually won in an upset by a point. Well, the Swans, they wanted to test their slow starts, and against Freo, they did test it, and they got what they deserved. Fremantle were awesome, and let's be honest, Fremantle did choke that at the end, but we all know Sydney are the comeback kings pretty much this year, apart from Collingwood. They're the only real team that's able to come back. Logan McDonald missing after the siren was disappointing for the Swans, but Freo definitely deserved that upset win, and they got it. So yeah, Swans' 10-game win streak comes to an end there. Went with the Pies by 3. The Suns, on the other hand, they caused a bit of an upset victory. I was aware of this game to be the upset of the round, but I just thought I'd lock in Collingwood. They were going to win. It looked like they were going to come back and win when the Suns, I think they led by 32. You just need Collingwood to come back, but then those late 2 goals just to seal the deal for the Suns was nice, and it was nice seeing them prevent from a Collingwood comeback after the Pies. They were 5 goals down at three-quarter time. So yeah. Went with the Crows, the Giants by 16. The Crows actually won by 16. Yeah, this game, I could definitely see the Crows winning, especially as at the Adelaide Oval. But their last game they played at the Adelaide Oval, they had come off a loss to Richmond. So I just thought you'd have to go with the Giants. Well, the Giants, to be honest with you, I'm saying this now, they were my premiership favourites. To be honest, with the form that they're in, I actually think they'll miss the 8. Like, they're 8 and 7. You've got Brisbane, the Western Bulldogs coming through now. Some other teams that are looking to make the 8. The Giants, they're 8 and 7. And they're all the way tied up with Hawthorn down in 13th. So, yeah, really disappointing for the Giants there. Definitely should have won that. Went with the Geelong by 7. I thought I'd back them in for a bit of an upset. They actually won by 45. Essendon, they were pretty disappointing. They're always in it at half-time. With Geelong's injuries, I think that with Tom Hawkins out probably does help. But, yeah, with the Cats by 7, they actually won by 45. A bit disappointing from Essendon there. Went with the Saints by, I get the correct scoreline, which I think this is the first time all year I've got the correct scoreline, but for the wrong result. I went with the Saints by, we actually lost by 2. Port, they probably deserved to win in the end. They're probably just the better team, outscored us by 1 single behind. Put up a credible performance, but again, that third quarter was just a real scrap fest, and yeah, this wasn't the best game to watch, but Port, they just got over the line in the end. Went with the Blues by 39. This was a pretty simple tip, probably the easiest tip of the round. They actually won by 61. So yeah, this was Richmond, they were still able to kick 10 goals, so there's a highlight, but yeah, they were pretty disappointing there, the Tigers. More disappointingly were West Coast losing by 61 to Hawthorn at Optus, only scoring the 4 goals, 9-33 to Hawthorn, 14 goals, 10-94. I went the Hawks by 12. They actually won pretty decently by 60 there. So yeah, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I got 6 out of 9 this week, so I'll take that, I guess, and I stay in my same position in Rob React's tipping comp. If you haven't joined his comp, you should definitely join it on Super Brew. It's a very good comp. But we start off on the Friday night at the I do not think this is definitely not the Friday night game. I believe the Friday night game is Collingwood and Essendon, so I don't know why it's putting this at the Friday night. But we've got Brisbane taking on the Adelaide Crows. This is weird. I don't know why it's like this, but it's at the Gabba. Brisbane, they're in some really good form at the moment. The Crows, they've just been a disappointment this year. They find themselves 2 points ahead of the Saints on the ladder. So good for them there to get a win over the Giants, upset win. You just got to beat Brisbane here. I think they're the better team. So I think that they'll win this game by, we'll go with the Lions by 20 points. I think it should be a close game. Brisbane, they have been conceding quite a few points lately, so I think that, you know, they'll be able to put up a good fight. Adelaide, they'll be able to score a bit more. Go off the Lions by 20 points, and I'll say that both sides score above 82 points in this game. Next up at the G, we have Collingwood taking on Essendon, and this is the Friday night game, I believe, at the G. Now, the Pies, they've been in pretty good shape. They did have that loss to the Suns, but at the end of the day, Gold Coast, I'm pretty sure they're 7-0 at home now. Essendon, on the other hand, they're in a bit out of form. They've lost their last 3 out of their last 4 games. So, yeah, that's pretty disappointing for the Bombers. They probably could have played much better against the out-of-form Cats, who just lost, I'm pretty sure, 3 games in a row, which was disappointing. It's at the G, so, this is a tough one to tip, but I think I'm just going to back in Collingwood. I know I could see Essendon getting the upset victory. And a few weeks ago, I'd probably be saying Essendon could actually definitely win this game. I think Collingwood is going to come down to another nail-biter. I'm going to go with the Pies by 2 points to get a win at the G. And, yeah, Friday night classic by 2 points. Then, at GMHBA Stadium, we have the Hawthorn Hawks taking on the Geelong Cats. Now, the Cats, they're in some pretty bad form. They did get that win against the Bombers at the G, so we'll give them credit to that. They're back at home this week against a really informed Hawks side who have won their last 5 games, 7 out of their last 8, which is good for them. They could, you know, if they'll want to win this game, the Hawks, because they go 9-7, gives them an even better chance to make finals. They're 8-7, but they're at 13th. That is how tight the comp is, all the way down to 13th. I could see Hawthorn getting an upset victory. With the way that the Cats are in at GMHBA, I don't think I've ever tipped against Geelong at GMHBA before, but we're going to do it. Hawthorn, they're in some good form at the moment. I think they're going to want to win this game. I know this is at GMHBA, but the Cats, I think we've seen 2 losses this year at GMHBA. They usually win here, but they can be shaky against some informed teams, and I think the Hawks are just a little bit informed side. It's going to be a close game, but I'm going to like the Hawks to get an upset victory by 6 points and really prove themselves to make the 8. Then at Giants Stadium, we have the Blues taking on the Giants. The Giants, they're just in some horrid form at the moment. They just can't seem to get a win lately. They have got a victory over the Power, but 2 losses in the row. They're absolutely disappointing against Adelaide. I think they even trailed by 7 goals at one point. Yeah, they had to fly over to the Adelaide Oval, where we know Adelaide have been pretty good at home, but it's just disappointing still to see. And I still back this side. I still do think they've got a great quality list, but I think if they lose this game, they probably won't be making the 8, because they'll go 8-8. The Blues, well, they've won 5 in a row now. They're just really in form. I think that maybe Freo could be the second best side in the comp, but I actually think there's quite a bit still separating Freo and Carlton. I do think they are definitely the second best team in the comp, so I'll give them that. You just got to go with the Blues here. Like a few weeks ago, before the Giants were out of form, this was going to be one of the 50-50 games. I just think that the Blues are a bit better at the moment, and I'll go with the Blues to pick up a 13-point win at Giants Stadium, and yeah, they'll get the victory there. Next up at the G, we have the D's taking on the Eagles. Now, obviously, we know last time these two sides versed, the Eagles absolutely thrashed Demons in an upset at Optus, so that was at Optus, but now we're back at the G. Melbourne, they're in some pretty good poor form, but West Coast, well, they've lost 5 games in a row now, and not much has really changed from Harley Reid. You know, they were just disappointing against Hawthorn. And, you know, with the way that Melbourne played against Brisbane, if they can bring that to the G, this should be an easy tip. This could arguably be the easiest tip of the round. Maybe West Coast with an upset, but it's at the G. You just got to tip Melbourne here. I think they'll get a pretty sound victory by 31 points at the G. Nice way to get a win back on the winners list for the Ds, and yeah, I think they're going to win convincingly by 5 goals. Next up at Marvel Stadium, we have North taking on the Suns. This game should be a pretty interesting one. Last time these sides versed at TIO, the Suns absolutely demolished them. We all know when the Suns, they had to fly over to Tassie at Blundstone, we saw North got that late shock upset result towards the back of the end of the season. North, they're starting to play some competitive footy. The Suns, they're in some good form with a win, but they just still can't get a win away from home. The last time they played at Marvel, they lost to my Saints in a bit of controversy, but this should be a pretty close game with the way that North are playing. This one's tough because I actually think this is very winnable. We saw North Melbourne get the upset result last year against the Suns. I'm going to back in the Suns to get a win by a point. I reckon they'll get their first away win, but they're going to, again, upset North Melbourne. They're going to make North Melbourne cry again. I reckon that the Suns will get a 1-point win at Marvel Stadium. This is going to be their first win away from home. They'll get the win, unconvincingly, by a point in a 3 game. Next up at Marvel Stadium on the Sunday, we have my Saints taking on the Swans. Now, well, the Saints, they've had 2 losses in a row. You know, it was a respectable performance against Brisbane and against Port. But I certainly felt like we could have won that game coming into it, definitely, considering with Port's form. So that was a bit disappointing. Jack Higgins should have just gone with the set shot instead of the snap, which probably would have won us the game, to be fair, since we were probably the better team in that last quarter. Sydney, well, they've experienced their first loss. I don't know if it's a good or a bad thing, because it will definitely teach them to not trail late in games as much as they have that ability to come back. It's just playing catch-up footy, and you never like it as a fan. You just want to have a bit of breathing space, and we know teams can choke leads, but it's just better. But you just got to go with the Swans. I'm going to back it in to get the job done pretty convincingly here. It should be a pretty closing win. I got the Swans by 33 points. I think we can certainly put up a bit of a fight, but Sydney, they should just be the way better side in this one, and I can't see us really getting the result here, so I'll just go with the Swans by 33 there. Then at the Adelaide Oval, we have Port Adelaide taking on the Western Bulldogs. A game which is pretty even. The Dogs, they've been definitely the better informed side. Well, the Power, they just needed that win to get back on track. Give their supporters a little bit of hope at Marvel. Yeah, where they have that nice win streak against the Saints at Marvel. So, yeah, it's pretty good for the Power. The Dogs, on the other hand, well, they're playing okay. This is going to be tough, but because this is at the Adelaide Oval, I'm going to back in the Power faithful to get the victory here. This should be a pretty good game. Let's go with Port by 10 to get the victory there at the Adelaide Oval. Then at Optus Stadium to, I believe, finish off the round, we have Fremantle taking on Richmond. I believe this is the Saturday night game. Like, I don't know why the games are all mixed up, but yeah, it's in Perth, so at least they've got that right. Super Fremantle taking on Richmond. This should be a relatively easy tip. Maybe I can't really see Richmond getting the result. Freo, they were just so good against the Sydney. They really were. We've seen lots of teams get this lead out to Sydney, like Geelong did, but they would just hold on in the end, which was great. I'm going to go with Freo to get a win here. It should be a pretty big margin-wise. Let's go with the Dockers to get a 47-point win at home at Optus, in front of the fans, and yeah, nice win. So thanks everyone. That'll wrap up this video. If you did enjoy, please do hit the like and subscribe button. So to summarise our tips, we went with the Lions by 20, Collingwood by 2, Hawthorn by 6, Carlton by 13, Melbourne by 31, Suns by 1 point, Swans by 33, Port by 10, and Fremantle by 7. Anyways, that's going to wrap up this video, and we'll see you in the next video.